Hello lovely galactic family. In my last video we talked about the structure of the kin, which is the smallest unit of measure in the Mayan calendar, equivalent to a day or a human being, and today we'll be talking about how our kin influences us. As you know, we all have our own kin set by the date of birth. Before our soul chooses to incarnate, it doesn't have a specific form. It's like a drop into the universal ocean of white light, completely absorbed by it and unified with it. When we choose to incarnate, our soul chooses a specific power and energy which is best suited for our mission on this planet, something that can assist us and also something that we can offer to the world. The kin is the energy which vibrates inside each particle of the universe on a specific day. When a baby is born, his body is pure and totally open to receive the specific vibration of that day. They are completely clean and totally receptive to those energies. Automatically, the cells and molecules of the body are penetrated by the specific vibration of that day, fully embracing the medicine of that kin inside their being. Basically, all our life, we are going to vibrate with the powers of our kin because this is the shape that our soul has chosen to take. And even if we change signs in the Mayan calendar every year, our kin of birth is always going to be our base. And yes, you change signs in the Mayan calendar every year, but we're going to talk about that some other time. So, each kin has its light aspects and its shadow aspects, its gifts and its challenges. When we incarnate, we embody the full light of our being, but then, as we progress through life, we start developing what is known as our shadow aspects. So, how do we develop these shadow aspects? It can be a number of different things, but the main issues are difficulty in communicating and not being accepted, understood, or loved for who we are in a society where we are taught to believe that people who are different from us are something dangerous. Basically, each child comes with huge potential, which gives them specific sensibilities towards their environment and the structures of the human world. A child being so pure and innocent, many times they're the ones here to teach the adults and not the other way around. I actually found a quote a while ago that said something like, when a child enters your life is trying to learn, not teach. Because children have this unique way of looking at the world beyond the cultural programming. But because a child sees things so differently than the adults around him who might not have the same sensitivity and who have already been programmed by society, they're going to try to make the child be like them instead of valuing his uniqueness and differences. Depending on the type of the environment a child has, if his way of looking at the world is not approved, he might start feeling guilty toward his own nature, thinking that it's not an appropriate way of acting, being, or feeling. And because we all have this deep desire and wish to belong, to be loved, understood, and accepted by our family, community, and society, we all want to be integrated in the world and feel like we belong there. A child will begin to reject his own nature or to disconnect from the inner light that he carries, his gifts and sensitivities. The child gives away his powers to the outside world to teach him who he is and to help him grow. He lets go of who he is because he wants to find his place in this world, which does not accept human beings for their unique individual magical selves. But all a child really wants is to be loved. And this whole conditional love program happening on the planet now, the I love you but you need to be the way I want you to be, otherwise you are not worthy of my love program, is what makes us give up who we are in the first place. We are taught to believe that this is the only way that we can survive in this world, because the message that we are getting is that who we are is not worthy of love, so we need to hide and change that. So a child will begin to sell his soul, so to say. He'll start a process of self-rejection, of rejecting who he is. This way, he becomes fully dependent on the outside world and completely loses his inner connection. He loses the power to love himself. He builds a hole inside of himself so big that nothing can fill it anymore, not all the pleasures and riches of the world. He can only fill it with himself, only by reconnecting with himself, his energy, his essence, his true nature, and embracing it. Naturally, each kin reacts in a different way and finds different coping mechanisms for balancing the inner suffering, but the principle always stays the same. Only by reconnecting with who we are can we begin to fill in the void that we have created for ourselves. Another big issue on this planet, which helps us develop our shadow aspects, is around communication. We have no idea how to communicate, basically. We have this assumption that everybody perceives the way in the same world we do, but we forget that, even if we're all one, we're all still different. We each carry different potentials, gifts, and sensitivities. In this reality, we all feel and experience things differently. What happens is that in a certain situation, we believe that everybody feels the same way we do, which on many occasions, it's not the case. This belief leads to a lot of confusion and unclear situations. We're all basically in our own little world. When we stop expressing our feelings and we simply assume that others can feel them directly, this leads us trapped into a world of confusion, tension, and misunderstandings. That's why it's super important for us to realize that we are the only ones responsible for how we feel and how we communicate our feelings to others. Stop assuming people know how you feel. Tell them. Don't assume you know how other people feel. Ask them. This is another reason why we feel so lonely and disconnected from the world. We don't know how to communicate or listen, for that matter. The universe is infinite. Infinite. Our perception of the world is nothing but a small window, and we're the only ones looking through it. But if we start sharing, connecting, communicating, we find other people with different windows, different viewpoints, who can help us paint the bigger picture of this reality. A child's rejection of his own nature, born from the desire to be integrated into the world, along with our poor communication skills, are for me the biggest and strongest trauma of the human soul. We feel totally lost, alone, disconnected, unloved, and unaccepted. This attitude leads us to develop our shadow aspects during our lifetime. However, our shadow can become our biggest tool for growth. Our shadow makes us journey through all of our resistances, all of our tensions, all of our anger, our sadness, our limiting beliefs, only to bring us back to the center of our being. Shadow exists only to reveal the light. We cannot see the light if there is no darkness to contrast it, to polarize it. That's the law of the universe. Just as we need darkness in our skies to see the stars, so we need darkness in our soul to fully step into our light. When we fully realize the medicine which we carry and we begin to use it just as our soul wanted us to do before we incarnated, we are home. We fulfill our destiny. We fully incarnate our kin, yet knowing deep inside of us that we are not really this kin. We are nothing, as my philosophy teacher in India used to say. Nothing, no thing, formless. We are beyond form. Our consciousness is connected to the universal wisdom, love, and light in the center of the universe. And when we meet our destiny, we can start going beyond it. So, just to sum all of this up, we are each born with specific gifts, with specific potentials that we end up projecting, which gives birth to our shadow aspects. And the journey of life is all about reconnecting with the true, pure essence of our soul and offering it to the world. For me, learning about my kin, my inner cycles, my light and shadow aspects, has offered me such a deep understanding about myself, how I function, and what I need to do to start integrating those shadows. So, if there are any questions, either about the 13-moon calendar, or if you want to go in more detail into discovering your kin and what your light and shadow aspects are, you can feel free to contact me either on my Facebook page or on my email. Until the next time, I wish you a most abundant day in Lak'Ech.